every single one of you that's working in tech is a role model. You have the ability to inspire a young person. I encourage you to go to the website of Tech She Can and have a look at the things that you can find there that will help you go into schools and be a role model.
Big thanks to GTIA for everything that you've made possible for Teen Tech this year. There is so much more that we want to do. So whether you want to fund, whether you want to volunteer, or whether you want to advise, go to teentech.com and do something, because together we really can make a difference here.
Welcome to the UK and Ireland Community Forum and Spotlight Awards. I'm Scott Campbell with the Global Technology Industry Association, and I am very proud to be joined right now by Jack Lyons, Sheridan Ash, and Maggie Philbin of Mice and Pages, Tech She Can, and Teen Tech. Thank you all very much for being here. We got a full panel right now. But Jack, we'll start with you. Can you talk a little bit about, you are sort of the champion for the charitable giving part of the UK and Ireland community within GTIA. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So for the last few months, I've been the giving champion for GTIA in the UK and Ireland. So it's been really great getting stuck into this as a kind of sub role as my involvement on the executive committee. Some of the important things for me in this role have been looking at existing recipients of GTIA's charitable giving, such as these two here. We want to amplify and put a spotlight on what they do, and also kind of show the impact of GTIA's charitable giving. So that's part of it. Another thing for me is the kind of member benefit. So I want to show to the members that this is not only something amazing that's happening in terms of the work the charities do, but it's something they can actually take away and say, you know, who do we know? Who do we work with? Who do we support? What other charities are out there that use technology to improve lives? You know, maybe we can get them involved and get them some of this funding as well. So that's a massive thing for me. And the last one is just building relationships with charities. So starting to speak to charities that are tech focused in the UK and Ireland and saying, hey, you know, we've got all this funding. We've got $5 million in 2026 that's been earmarked for GTIA. And it's like, well, let's get it out there. Let's get it out there.
We can take it all off your hands.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
That's one thing I want to mention briefly is that, Jack, you just mentioned, GTIA is pledged to give away nearly $5 million this year to charitable organizations. Right. And by the way, that's thanks to you guys. That's thanks to our members, right? Yeah. So thank you guys all very much for all you do for GTIA and all you do to support us.
Yeah, and I'm sure you would agree. It's like, I was just so touched because I know that members vote. Right. And they say, we would really like this organisation to get more support, you know, both financial, you know, and volunteering. So thank you if that was you.
Yeah, I agree as well. A massive thank you. It's made such a difference to Tech She Can over the last year. And I'm sure we'll talk a bit about, you know, what we've been doing with the funding that we've received.
Yeah, so let's start there. We'll start with you about Tech She Can. Can you tell us a little bit first about the organization, what you guys do, what you're hoping to accomplish, and then sort of how GTIA has helped?
Well, Tech She Can is on a mission, basically, to make sure that the tech workforce is a lot more diverse than it is now. And I don't need to preach about the benefits of that. We all know in the community why that is beneficial more than ever with AI. Tech She Can is an industry-led, an industry-funded charity, and we connect the future talent that's out there in schools and universities with industry. And we also act as a sort of conduit for industry voice back into government as well. So we do a lot of work around policy with the Department for Science and Innovation and Technology and the Department for Education.
And how about Teen Tech?
Well, if I talked about Teen Tech's mission, it's to put ourselves out of business. Because I have very strong views on what is happening in schools and the preparedness or not of young people for a very fast changing future. But in a nutshell, what we do is to help young people understand their own potential, not only to gain skills, but to actually change the future. And, we do that in 1,000,001 different ways. But I think one of the interesting things about Teen Tech was that it was built from the young people up as opposed to the other way around. So it started with young people, and right the way through our 18-year now history, young people have been at the heart of all of the decision making. So it's driven by them. And later on this afternoon, we'll have a young person on the stage explaining, what her pathway through
So
it all is.
congratulations, 18 years is impressive. So that first group, they are now well into adulthood, well into
Absolutely.
careers.
Yeah.
It's-
And that's what makes it interesting, because one of the things, and I give all the credit to my co-founder, Chris, who said, it's not about people having a good time here. You need to gather, what do they come in thinking? What do they leave thinking? What is the long-term impact?
Right.
So we gathered data from the get-go, and that helped us stop doing the things which made no difference whatsoever and do the things which actually work.
Yep.
And then share that data with people who we would hope can change systems, because it's systems that get in the way of diversity. It's not young people not having the enthusiasm.
And that was the next question I was going to ask, and Sheridan, I'll ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges that your organization faces now?
Yeah, I mean, before I come to that, I think it's really amazing how Maggie and I have come at it actually from two different angles. So I've come at it initially because I'm from industry, worked for a lot of big corporates and got industry to back creating the charity. And you've come at it from that sort of bottom up with the children, but we're both trying to affect system change in the education system, in corporations, in SMEs, to change culture and policy. So it's interesting that we're on a mission for the same thing, but we've come at it from quite different angles. In terms of the sorts of barriers that we see, I mean, obviously funding is always going to be one of them, and obviously
heavily underlined.
Yeah, heavily underlined. We're both charities, we both need funding, and that's why the money that we've had from GTIA has been really fundamentally a massive change for us. Getting sort of quite a large sum is really amazing. But the other barriers, if you like, to change is, I mean, what we find is that there's the barriers that you have in schools with the children, because stereotypes and myths about who does technology, who belongs in technology, those things are embedded right from before 5 years old. So for boys and girls, so a lot of what we do is trying to bust those myths for both boys and girls, because we want the boys involved to be the future allies, and we want them to see that girls can do everything that they can. So things like that at the children level. It's also about changing the things for teachers. Teachers are amazing, they do an amazing job, but they need better, more inspiring content, because a lot of the content that schools have traditionally had hasn't necessarily been the most inspiring. So we help teachers have more inspiring content. And then obviously there's the curriculum, and that's where the government bit comes in, and a lot of the work we do around how do we actually change the curriculum and make change. And to be fair, that is starting to happen
slowly.
So you talk about inspiring. I think, first of all, both of you, and Jack, and also you, are very inspiring too in all you do to help children of all ages. So thank you very much for that. Sheridan, one of the examples you had in your presentation too was about a young boy who uses English as a second language, and how he is using AI, how he built something with AI, and I think that is inspiring too, right? So I think it kind of works both ways. Like, we can get inspired by the children, and the children can inspire us too, right?
Yeah, I mean, that example I gave where this young boy, English second language, we were doing a workshop using technology, and we taught them how to use AI to solve real problems. And he created an AI helper to help him communicate better with teachers and classmates. That is, to what you were saying, Maggie, that instantly built that child's confidence.
Yep.
He felt proud of himself. His parents were proud. Everybody was proud. And that's a key thing to build confidence in children that don't necessarily have the same advantages as other children. You know, people from more disadvantaged backgrounds, where you've got social mobility issues in certain areas. They don't have the technology, they don't have access.
Yeah. We've run within our award program a best use of AI category for the last, I think it's 5 years. And what that shows, and it shows not only the students and teachers, but also employers, that it potentially, as we all know, AI and tech could really level the playing field because it enables you to have an idea and take it to concept and product very quickly,
Right.
but only if you've got access to the tools. And what we want is to be able to level the playing field so that more young people have got access, and that there isn't like there's so much fear around AI and what it could potentially do, and that we just need to remove some of the fear and just make sure that there are clear guidelines, and having industry help schools at a time when you can't expect teachers to keep up with everything. No one person
Right.
can.
Yeah.
So that's where industry really does have a role to be able to support teachers, support students at a time when it would be a pipe dream, I think, really, for the curriculum to be able to keep up with the pace of change at the moment. And the talent is there in the classroom. There's no lack of talent, but we just need to make sure that we smooth the pathway.
Yep. And Sheridan, I know you had a whole screen full of partners, industry partners that are helping you and supporting your organization too. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important for industry to be involved?
Well, it's important for industry. It's important that they are shaping the future workforce and giving back. I think I think industry does understand. They're often focused on short-term return on investment, but they understand, particularly in the world we live in now and with technologies like AI, that we have to start early in creating that pipeline of the next generation of technologists, but also that every single person will be using technology. So, I think industry has been very good at backing that sort of longer term view, as well as the sort of thinking about shorter term return on investment. So, we work very collaboratively with all our partners. They provide all the role models. They help check all our content in terms of what we're actually teaching the children about technologies. They have a huge volunteer workforce across all of the companies we work for. They come out in the schools. We're completely across the whole of the UK. So, they really contribute massively, and frankly, they need to do it, and we couldn't do it without them.
Yep.
Yeah. And that loyalty of company partners, I mean, it's astonishing, really, I guess, but we've got industry partners who backed the very first Teen Tech event we did 18
Wow.
years ago. I mean, none of us ever imagined that 18 years down the line,
Right.
it would still be
Yeah.
needed. But that contact with, what do you really need? But it is two-way. It's not only, I don't think, about the companies saying this is what we need. It's for the companies to have a better understanding of where those young people actually are, so that when they are creating, whether it is apprenticeships or whether they're creating work experience opportunities, that they understand those young people, because that's where a lot of the best-willed efforts in terms of diversity go astray.
And how about Jack, as somebody who is in industry,
Yes.
you are industry.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about, what is Mice and Pages doing, and why is it important for your organization to kind of be involved in some of this too, and helping, train and get the next generation of tech worker ready?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we have for years used the apprenticeship route, and we continue to do that. And it's very interesting watching young people come through now to see their kind of skill set. some of it is a lack of skill set, and there is some negativity around that and a skills gap. But I also think they bring a lot of things as well, so it's important to emphasise that as well. It doesn't need to be always a negative conversation. It can also be about, some of the things. I can just think we've got a young guy who started with us recently, and yes, at first when we spoke to him, he wouldn't look us in the eye, and
Yeah.
you think, wow, that is a real difficulty for him. But he has loads of other brilliant technical skills. But we're a couple of months in now. He's starting to talk to customers. He's starting to talk to us. We've given him that opportunity, and he's built those skills. So really, what started out being this kind of, all right, okay, he's not looking us in the eye. That's gone now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
you have
that
to give you have
confidence
to give
bit.
people a chance.
You've
Yeah.
given him confidence.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah.
Okay, last question now is how can GTI members get more involved and help, these organizations and other organizations? Like, what are some of the things that Jack, we'll start with you and then work down. Like, how would you say to your fellow members?
Yeah, so I think members need to see it as an opportunity. They need to look at who they work with. They need to look at who they know, who they support, and I think it needs to be clear. The charity doesn't have to have a solely tech focus. They just have to use technology to change and improve lives. So that could be arguably any charity. It might be a one-off project, So I don't want to limit it. I want people to think about who they can work with, and the amount of money this year is a 160% increase versus last year.
Yeah.
So we need more charities, more impact. That's my goal this year.
Perfect. And Sheridan, how can GTI and its members help
Well,
TechScan?
at TechScan, if they go onto our website, they'll see we've got a champions program where we arm sort of volunteers to go out into their local schools. They can obviously come to us directly and think about doing projects with us, but it's very easy. All our stuff is completely open source, online, on demand, and can be used by anybody in any school or at home. So just going onto our website and looking at our program, and it's all there, links to everything, it's all there. So that alone, and just being able to use our animations if you've got young children at home, or promoting us to your local school or your child's school, because it's all free to schools. So anything like that helps get it out there, helps get the message out.
It really is an opportunity for a member to be what I like to call a hometown hero.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
That's spot on. I love that.
I was going to say as well, obviously a lot of our members will work with schools. They will work with schools and college. They will look after their technology. And it's a great conversation, again, for them to go and have, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've come across this charity. Here's some amazing work they do. Do you want to get involved? If I was them, I'd love for someone to come and have that conversation with me. So it's, taking it to them as a positive conversation, I think.
And it's about also, sometimes I think people think, oh, the thought of being in a room with teenagers, totally terrifying. But there are all sorts of ways that you can support both of our organisations, because we don't want to become a victim of our own success. So as the impact is understood by schools, so for instance, one school who've worked with us for a few years have now persuaded the whole of their trust. So we're going, and just in that one school, from having around 100 students to 8,000 students, and it's scaling at that kind of a pace. So the message really is, it's a great game, but we need more people. So if you want to work with us, we can provide safe and structured opportunities, so you won't be thrown in at the deep end with lots of teenagers.
But just to add, one of the things we also do, which I probably should have mentioned, is we do CPD, which is continuous improvement development for teachers. And that's all online as well. We've got huge programs around that in partnership with organizations like Microsoft. So again, all free to teachers, which is about upskilling them. So, if there's people out there that are teachers or no teachers, again, taking that into schools is sort of just promoting it so that teachers can get the support they need.
That's awesome. So one more chance, like, what are your respective websites for your organizations?
teentech.com.
TechSheCan.com.
Okay. And GTIA.org, you can check out our charitable giving page. And Jack, any last words you want to add?
I don't think so. I think if I could say anything, it's just today's a great opportunity to get our members on board with this, and seeing the impact it has and being able to kind of take that forward into this year is exactly what I want to get out of today's event.
That's great. I
Thank you
want to
very
thank all three of you for being part of GTIA and being part of GTIA on location today.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
I just made a mistake with my website.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You better get that right.
Because I've just been talking about another website earlier, so it's .org, textucan.org.
Textucan.org.
I don't know why I said it.
There we go.
4 a.m. start, people. Brain's gone.
All right,
forgive you.
Thank you again very much for being part of us.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for being part of GTIA on location. We'll be back very soon with more interviews, more content soon.